All right, welcome everyone to today's episode of Is It Prophecy here on Israel National Radio, Root Sheva, and the show is syndicated as the Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is free to do so, and you can also find me on JApp. JApp is a Jewish application with lectures from historians as well as lectures from rabbis and episodes of this program. You can download JApp by going to iTunes or Google Play stores or to the website www.j-app.me. And, of course, you can email me at messiahhour@gmail.com. Is it time for Jews from Denmark to return home? Online to discuss that matter and other matters is Danish blogger from Israel One Nation on Facebook. Back to the program, Jerusalem Jane Kiel. Jane, how you doing out there?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me back.
Yes, our pleasure. So, recently, you did an interview with I-24, which is a station here in Israel that does web TV. Tell us a bit about what that interview was all about.
Well, the day before, there has been a terrorist attack in Denmark, and Denmark is this little butter cookie country, you know, where everything is nice and peachy, and all of a sudden, terror struck. There was a Swedish cartoonist who was in a lecture there, and he was assassinated, or he was attempted to be assassinated. And then shortly after, the same perpetrator went to the synagogue in Copenhagen, and he started shooting, and he killed 2 people. So because I'm Danish, I-24 News brought me in to talk about this and, you know, what's going on in Europe. Are the Jewish people safe? And what's going on with all the Muslims in Europe? So because I'm Danish, they used me. So, yeah.
Now, we know here in Israel, terror attacks happen, obviously, I can't say it the right way. One attack is too much, but they happen so often that we're not so surprised. In the United States, it was September 11th. Is it not that common? You talked about how it's kind of a country that's not used to terror attacks. I mean, has there been a terror attack in a long time before the one a few days ago?
No, we don't have terror attacks like that in Denmark at all. So this really, really shook Denmark. It really did. And people were shocked. And, you know, the 2 main TV station there was broadcasting 24 hours, you know, nonstop the whole time, because this is something that happened in the Middle East. Used to happen in the Middle East. Then it started happening in France, and all of a sudden Denmark was hit. So people was really shocked.
Do you think that, talk about the non-Jewish population, do they look at it differently, because the Jews are used to this, especially Jews in Israel? The non-Jewish population in Denmark, do they say something like, we need to leave our country the way Jews in Denmark might feel, or do they say this is a one-time thing and we don't have to worry about it?
Well, they see what's happening around the world, and especially what's happening around in Europe right now. But the thing is that the attack in Denmark just didn't happen to just one Jewish guy. There was a Danish guy being shot too. At the attack with the Swedish cartoonist, they shot a Danish photographer. So all of a sudden, a non-Jew was also killed in this attack, and 4 policemen were really wounded. So this didn't just happen to the Jewish community. It also happened to for the Danes. And for that reason, I think, and maybe it sounds wrong, but it had a deeper impact because so many people was affected by it, and not just the Jewish people.
What do you think will be done? Is the government going to put in more security, or are people going to try to arm themselves, and what will they do to try to fight against this?
When the terror attack happened in France, the Jewish community in Copenhagen, there is just about 6,500 Jewish people in Denmark. Most of them are living in Copenhagen. When the attacks happened in France, the Jewish community in Copenhagen contacted the Danish government saying, we need more protection around our schools and around the synagogues. So could you please send more police? And the Danish government decided, okay, let's do that. So there are police protection around the schools, the Jewish school in Copenhagen, and the synagogues. There are 3 synagogues in Copenhagen. And after the first attack that comes against the cartoonist, the Danish, again, they contacted police saying, you know what, we have a bar mitzvah in 8 hours. We need more police protection. And the police actually sent more police. And yet this guy did this terror attack. So they are protected. But, you know, if bad guys want to get to you, they get to you. They find a way.
Again, this is a Prophecy here on Israel National Radio, Root Sheva. The show is syndicated as the Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Now, one of the things that was talked about, you mentioned on your Facebook, there was a security guard who was killed in the attack, and you questioned security issues regarding that, right? Because you don't usually expect a security guard to be murdered. So tell us a bit your thoughts on it.
No, you don't expect that. But again, he was Jewish.
And he was a volunteer as well.
Yeah. There was a bar mitzvah. They had this house behind the synagogue, and there was a family having a bar mitzvah. There was about 80 people there. And this guy was there to check every single person walking in. And besides him, there were extra police. And so people were being checked. And all of a sudden, this guy just walks up, and before they had the chance to do anything, he just executed this guy. He just shot him blank in his head, and he shot the two policemen. And if they had not been there, and then he escaped, he ran off. If this has not happened, he had planned a massacre, like we saw in France. This was supposed to be have been a huge massacre from this. Yeah, one guy lost his life. He paid his life, and he's actually being named as a hero. Because if it wasn't for those guys, this would have turned into something really, really bad.
Yeah, I mean, Major Kiddush Hashem, he died sanctifying God's name, and truly a hero. But my question is not on the volunteer security guard, but on the police, and that how come the police weren't more awake? I mean, if they have to have a volunteer security guard, you know that something could be up or something's a dangerous situation. How come more police? Go ahead.
No, I just when this happened, I found Danish TV and I had it running on my computer most of the day. And I saw the interview with the spokesperson from the Jewish community, and he said when we heard about the first attack on the Swedish cartoonist, we were like, oh gosh, are they coming for us now? So that's why he contacted police, saying, you know what, we have this event, we have a bar mitzvah, we need more police. And the police was, of course, on high alert all over Copenhagen because the perpetrator was at large. He was still at loose. They didn't catch him after he did the first attack. So the police were scattered all over Copenhagen. And they thought that, you know what, there's enough police here. We have guys stationed in front of the synagogue. We have patrols driving by. And yet this guy still did what he did. So I don't know if the police could have done more because they were all over the city. And they actually in Denmark, the police are being, not heroes, but said that they did a good job. I don't know.
Now, one of the things was very appalling, and correct me if I got this wrong, but I believe President Obama and his staff referred to this as random, which is really appalling because it was a synagogue, and I don't know how that's random. Give us your thoughts and tell me if I got that information wrong, but that's been my understanding that the president referred to this as random.
I'm not a fan of Obama, so this really makes me angry if he said that. You know what? This was deliberately. This guy was a so-called Palestinian. I don't like that word because I don't believe they exist, but that's what he called himself. He was 22 years old. He just got out of jail. The police knew about him. They knew that this guy might plan something, but you cannot arrest people just on suspicion. So he was at large. He had just got out of jail after some violence. He did some violent thing, and he has been in gangs and everybody, so the police knew about him. Of course, this was planned. First of all, okay, we want to go and take out this Swedish cartoonist. He drew Muhammad. We all know they don't like that. And of course, so they said, okay, let's take him out. What else to do? Okay, let's go whack some Jews. Sorry, my expressions. But so this was planned. There is absolutely nothing random about this. This was a repeat of what happened in France. Let's take out a cartoonist who is insulting Muhammad, and then let's go for the Jewish people. So if Obama truly has said that, he is beyond stupid. I'm sorry, but let's just call it what it is. This was planned. This was going after a cartoonist because of Muhammad, and this was anti-Semitic. This was an anti-Semitic attack on Danish Jews.
And even some of Obama's fervent supporters, especially if they're Jewish, have been turning on him based on the statement because he had a way to get out of it. He could have said that was a mistake made by his staff, but he continued on with the stupidity. Now, you were talking about This was a Palestinian. They were concerned that he might do something. I saw that you posted on your Facebook of these organizations paying Palestinians who go to jail after they murder Jews. Do you think it's possible then they paid this terrorist to go to the synagogue and try to commit this massacre? He killed a security guard and 2 police officers, but they wanted to kill more. So you think he's on the payroll?
You know what? I heard people say, oh, this is a lone wolf. Oh, he was acting of his own. Of course he is not. Nobody is acting on their own. They are always a link here and a link here, and then there's a network here. So, of course, this guy didn't do this alone. So we know they celebrate. He's a martyr now. I just saw interviews yesterday with Palestinian kids and here in Israel. And I was saying, what do you want to do when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a martyr. It's the greatest honor to be a martyr. So that's what he is now. So of course there is something connected to this. Thinking otherwise would just be stupid. The thing is, this is in Denmark. Here in Israel, the Palestinians are more, they go celebrate them. If this is happening here in Israel, they would have had a party in the West Bank and Jenin and all these places. We see that. They hand out candies. Oh, a Jew was killed, and this guy is a martyr. They can't exactly go running around in the streets in Copenhagen celebrating this guy. Although, what I did see yesterday was, in the life of me, I can't understand, when someone dies in Denmark, you put out flowers as a kind of a respect, and someone had actually done that on the same spot where this guy was shot by the police. Who in their right mind would put flowers to celebrate this terrorist? I don't know. But what we did see in the streets of Copenhagen was Muslim people removing those flowers, because it's not according to Muslim tradition. You don't put flowers. But of course, they all came out saying, you know what, the police are just jumping to conclusion. He was not a terrorist. It was not him. La la la. But it would not surprise me if the family of this guy is going to be very well taken care of.
By the way, quick correction. This could sound kind of ironic. President Obama referred to the terror attack in Paris as random, not the one in Denmark. So I got that mixed up.
Okay.
But I tell you that if he thinks the one in Paris is random, he's definitely going to think this one is random, because this is even, kosher supermarket he thinks is random. He's going to think a synagogue is random too. So we can't really trust Barack Hussein Obama at this point.
Well, I did see him calling the Prime Minister of Denmark, saying, you are our closest allies. America stands with Israel in the fight for anti-Semitism. The Danish Prime Minister, she's a lady, Helle Thorning-Schmidt. She really came out against this. She really came out. She spoke against this. She said the Jewish people in Denmark, it's a part of us. We stand with them, and they belong here, and we will do the best we can to, tighten security around them. And for that reason, he called her. But you know what? Politicians, they just talk. They do this out of courtesy. We see it all the time. And then what happened the next day? Back to business, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting you bring that up, because after the terror attack in France, the Prime Minister of France made a comment saying, if the Jews leave, we won't really be France anymore. They're such an important part of the community. And even though they make up a few 100,000 out of all of France, that's what the Prime Minister thought. It seems like the Prime Minister of Denmark is saying something similar. But you seem to be of the opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, that the Jews in Denmark should leave and not listen to the Prime Minister.
Can I tell you? Yeah, can I tell you something?
Sure.
We are not Jewish, but my mom loves Israel. My mom has a golden star of David around her neck every single day. She wears that with pride because she supports Israel. 15 years ago, Ari, we were in a huge supermarket in Denmark. Mom is wearing her star of David. All of a sudden, she sees these Arabs really staring at her. Some of them pick up their cell phones. All of a sudden, more Arabs are joining. They pick up their cell phone. More Arabs are joining. All of a sudden, my mom is surrounded by about 20, 25 Arabs just circling in on her, pointing at her Star of David, really intimidating her, threatening her. My mom, a tiny little Danish lady in a supermarket 15 years ago. And I had a friend who moved from Copenhagen to Israel. He came home last year because he was like, this is too much. I'm not safe anymore. Jewish people in Denmark are being spat on. They are being harassed. If you wear a kippah, they beat the kippah out of you. There was a Jewish guy walking with a backpack. He had a small Israeli flag on it. And these Arabs just jumped him and they beat him. So no, I would say the Jewish people are not safe anymore. I really hate to say that, because if Jewish people want to live in Denmark, they should be free to live in Denmark and be safe. But look what happened in Denmark. Look what happens in England, Sweden, France. The Jewish people are just not safe anymore. And I believe in the Bible, and I believe God has made Israel as a Jewish homeland, and this is your home. And for that reason, I think the Jewish people should come home and unite with their brothers and sisters here in Israel. But of course, it's voluntary. If they want to live in Denmark, they should. It's not safe. And I really want to emphasize something, Eric, because the people that attacks Jews in Denmark are Muslims. I really need to stress that. It's not Danes like me, it's Muslims. Yes, there are boycott movements in Denmark, boycott them. Maybe, we don't want to buy food from settlements and stuff like that. And some people are on that leftist Denmark. But the people who attacks Jews are Arabs.
Now, it's very interesting you're saying this, because you're Danish, and you're saying that the Jews in your country aren't safe. So that certainly, if anyone out there listening doesn't believe that, after you say that, they should believe now, right?
You know what? I have just seen all the stories coming from the Jewish people. I have seen someone made a documentary, where he was a journalist, and he put on a kippah and just with hidden camera, and he was yelled at, and he was all these things just to see what's it like to be a Jew in Denmark. And I saw this Jewish couple saying, we took our name off. We don't even have our name by the door, because the doorbell they hit our doorbell at all times a day, and people are calling us and harassing us. So the thing is, Denmark is this little butter cookie country where everything is nice and peachy and good of all of that. But if you ask the Jewish people, they would say, I don't feel safe here anymore. The school, the Jewish school in Copenhagen, they have armed guards. They are living behind fences. What kind of life is that?
It doesn't sound like a real good one. Again, this is a Prophecy here on Israel National Radio, Ruth Sheva. The show is syndicated as the Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free to do so, and you can email me at messiahhour@gmail.com. We're continuing the conversation with Jerusalem Jane. Jerusalem Jane, let's talk about a weird comment made by a representative of the State Department saying that we can't win the war against ISIS by killing them, and we should really try to give them jobs. Was that a practical joke? Because I know April 1st is about 6 weeks away. Was that what that was, or?
Well, is that person on crack or something? Because no, how stupid can you be? These guys are cold-blooded terrorists. ISIS is an army rising out of hell. They execute kids. They chop off heads. They mutilate everybody who doesn't agree with them. You want to give them jobs? How stupid can you be? I mean, there is just one thing to do, and that's to fight them and to take them out, if you ask me.
And I feel like that are there people that agree with that are in power? I don't think the President of the United States understands that. I feel like Bibi understands that to some degree, at least I hope. Or do you think there are other leaders that know we got to go fight ISIS head on?
The thing is, I don't think they know what to do. How do you fight ISIS? It's not like ISIS is in one country, so okay, let's go to war with this country, right? ISIS is spreading. They are in all these different countries. So how do you fight them? The Obama is completely in denial. All the leaders are completely in denial, but they are so afraid. And forgive me for saying this, but I have spoken about it before, so this is not a breaking news. But the Muslims are running this world with fear. If there's something they don't agree on, they just make a mayhem. They just mutilate, they just kill, they just make riots. And so people are intimidated by that. And for that reason, when you see something like Obama and going out saying, oh, Islam is the religion of peace, I want to throw up. Islam is the religion of hate, of death, of massacre. But people are afraid of saying that because they know, okay, if we say that, they're just going to come against us at full force. So somebody needs to wake up. I think the Prime Minister of Israel is the only one who really dares to tell the truth. And I have to say for this reason that this is also one of the reasons why I really, really want to encourage the Jewish people to come home. I know we still have terror attacks within Israel, but I would still say the way the world is turning, getting more and more evil with all these horrible ISIS people, Israel is going to be the safest place to be. is the safest place to be, because ISIS will never, ever, ever defeat Israel, because Israel will go toward them, unlike the other nations who are just scary.
Now, another sad story. Yesterday, a young girl a 1-year-old girl was buried. She was actually struck by a rock from some Palestinians earlier, but she passed on. And I mean, that's a story that if it doesn't, I think, wake people up or make them emotional, I don't know what would. Tell us your thoughts. I know you wrote about this as well on your Facebook, so tell us what you're thinking as you cover that story.
Well, when something like this there are two sides in me. There is the one that is so heartbreaking, I cry. My heart breaks for this. Once again, a mother is crying in Israel because her baby was killed. And when I say her baby, it doesn't matter if it's a 1-year-old or if it's a 19-year-old boy who was an IDF soldier. Excuse me, it's still her child. This happened way, way, way too often, that moms are crying here in Israel because of terror attacks. So there's this one side of me where my heart is breaking and I'm crying. And then there is this side of me who gets so furious, I want to scream and I want to hit someone. Because why is this happening again and again and again and again? People are being killed just for being Jewish. And this little girl, what did she ever do to anyone? She was driving in a car. And all of a sudden, her life was taken from her even before it began. So yes, you know what? I was at a funeral for one of the soldiers the guy who was being killed in Tel Aviv at the train station. And I made a video of that, Ari. Out of respect of the family, I decided, okay, I'm not going to film them. But I took my camera and I put it at the ground and I just filmed 2 minutes of 1,000 Jewish people crying. Because once again, we were burying someone just for being Jewish. And I wanted the whole world to know the sound of Israel crying for one of our boys.
Again, this is a Prophecy here on Israel National Radio, Root Sheva. The show is syndicated as the Messiah Hour on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is free to do so. And, of course, you can find me on JApp, www.j-app.me. And, again, email messiahhour@gmail.com.